Hey everyone, it's me, Miss Ruiz. I wanted to take a moment and go over prefixes for Chapter 2. I'm going to go over the slides and I'll interject any additional information that I feel is important. So let's get started. So things to remember is that the meaning of the prefix does not change. The manner in which we're using it can change. So it can change the context in the way we are using a different word root. So your prefix does not change meaning. However, the prefix doesn't really change the meaning. It changes the way that we're using the word root. Not all medical words have a prefix. This is very, very important. Note, write it down, remember this. So whenever we're defining some words, we always start at the suffix, go back to the beginning. If it has a prefix, we will define the prefix. If not, we'll just go straight to the word roots. Prefixes can explain or express numbers, measurements, position, direction, negatives, and colors. They can also express numbers. Null would be like none, uni, one, bi, two, tri, three, quadra we have for four. Tetra is also one. Anybody ever heard of the game Tetris? That's a good way to remember the four. Because remember, every piece in Tetris is made up of 4 blocks. So that's where that gets the name. Single, double, or half. We also have quantities, much, many, excessive, less than. Multiples without specific numbers. They can do position, direction, so between, under, so we have like intracostal, which literally means between the ribs. Intra, which is within, like intravenously, remember the needle will go within the skin or within the vein is what it's meaning. Upon or over, so we got like supra or epi. Again, we did within, near, middle, meso is middle. Below, behind, above, across, so we have trans. Could also be peri, around, right? So we have different things there that can be used. Colors, and these colors can be used in reaction, growths or rashes. Color of body fluids, red, blue, green, yellow. So we have a couple for red. Make sure you know the difference. We have one that's even rosy. So make sure you know the difference between your colors. White, black, gray, and purple. Express negatives, not, without, lack of, against. So one for you to make sure that you know the difference is con and contra. So one is with, con is with. Think of like a conjoined twin, right? Contra is against, contraindicated, right? It's against what it was doing. So, okay, I want to take a moment, go over the flashcard list. There are quite a few. But if you notice on the list, which this is in Blackboard on the left-hand toolbar, it says flashcards. I have all the lists for each chapter there. Now, not only do I give you the word element and our definition, I also give you an example. So, A means not, or without, not, absence of, no. I always say no, not, without. Apnea would be an example of that. Now, Nia would be breathing. Now remember, if it begins with a letter, we have to say the P. If it does not begin with the letter, then you just start with your N sound, like pneumonia. But in this case, we have the A before the P, so it's apnea. Abduct is a great way to remember. Ab is away from. So this is away from the midline. And then adduction, think of add and subtract. You're adding to it. So that is towards or to increase. Albino, white, kind of albinism, right? Ambi, kind of think of ambidextrous. Use both hands to write. You'll notice we have several that are no, not, without. So Ann is another one, not without Anna, like anastomosis or anaplasia. Anti, any of you Spanish speakers, your Spanish will come in hand because this has Latin roots, means before or in front of. I think of when I used to play cards with my grandma and we would do a little bet in the beginning and she'd say ante up. And so that would, remember that you got to put it in the beginning. Anti, against. Auto, self. Think of like an automatic car. It switches the gears by itself. Don't get auto and bio mixed up. Commonly happens. So, auto, self, bio, life, right? If you're anyone who's taken biology, you know it's the study of life. Brady, not Brady Bunch, Brady. Bradycardia is, well, a slow heartbeat. And then there's tachy, which is the opposite we'll get to. Tachy means rapid. Chloro, there's one of your colors. Circum, you have circumoral, which I think will be on one of your mind taps. There's also peri, which means around. So sometimes people will try to enter perioral. This, in that particular case, on your mind tap, it's looking for circumoral. Cirrho, there's a yellow, right? Cirrhosis. Usually we link that to the liver. Con, there you go. That con together with. Congenital means they were born with it. All right. Contra, contraceptive, against, right? Or against conception. Cyano, blue. You'll see that one. D, down, like descend. Dia, through, like diagnosis. Dis, free of or to undo. Now, do not get DIS confused with DYS. DYS is painful or difficulty. So, which we will probably come up with that prefix later on in a special, or in a system chapter. Later on in a chapter. Ecto, like ectopic, it's outside. Someone said think about the exit. I don't know if that exactly correlates, but it worked for them. Maybe it'll work for someone else. Endo is within. Endocervical is our word here. Eosin, like eosinophil, red or rosy. It can have both of those meanings. Most of the time when you see eosino, you're going to think rosy. Epi, epigastric, epicondyle. Epi is upon or over. Urethro, that's red, like your erythrocyte. That's our red blood cell. Right? We have X, exo, extra. All those are like outside and beyond. So you'll notice we have multiple prefixes that have same meaning. That's why flashcards are so important. Another thing you can do if you have multiple prefixes or suffixes or terms that have the same meanings, you can put those on the same card, and then it kind of helps you link it together, because once you see all three of them together, you know they have the same meaning. So that might be something that helps. Glauco is gray or silvery. We also have polio later. That can also be gray. Hemi is half. Hetero, heterogeneous. Hetero is different. Homeo is likeness or the same, different from homo, which is same. Now here we have hydro with a Y. We will also see hydro with an I. So hydro with a Y is water. Think of, you go to the Y, you've heard people say the YMCA, they go to the Y to swim. Think of water. I is actually sweat. So think of I sweat, hydro, I sweat. So with an I, it would be sweat. With a Y, it is water. All right. Hype, under, below, beneath, less than normal, like hypoxia here. I have that O bolded, even though the O actually the O actually belongs with the word root. So in hypoxemia, emia is our suffix, which means blood condition. And then hype would be our under or beneath. We're putting that O, though, with it to kind of help you remember that it's below. But ox would be the oxygen. So this would be a condition of less than normal oxygen. All right, hyper, excessive. And then there again we see hypo. Idio, you want to remember that that means individual. I'm, which means not, impotent. So think of I'm not. Well, this one's potent. So maybe that'll help you to link that in, inside, within, not. That one's a pretty easy one. Infra, think of inferior if you want to. I've had people use that to link it with beneath, below, under. Enter is between. I had someone say that they enter between the doorway. I don't know if that helps. I like to use word association because I feel like building on words that you already know are going to help you learn new words. Word association is so key in medical terminology. Intra, within. Remember, we're intravenously. It's within the vein. I said venously. Jondo, yellow, jaundice. Juxta, near or beside. I think of juxtapose, but that doesn't really help because it's not a definition. Whenever you're using the word part and what you're saying is the definition, you're not really defining it, you're just using it. So make sure that your definition, like juxta, actually means near or beside. Luco's white, luteal. We don't really see this one as much as we do with John Doe or Ciro. Melano, we will see that one. Melanoma, black. Meso, middle. Meta is beyond or after. Milli, 1,000th. Don't get that confused with million. In this case, milli is 1,000th. Mono is one or single. Multi, I think many of us are probably aware of this one being many. That should be an easy one. Non is not. Nulli is none. Pan, you will see pan. Pan means all. So a good way to remember this is you got to put it all in the pan. Put it all in the pan. That gives us pancarditis would be inflammation of all of the heart. Para, beside, beyond, two like parts. Per is through. Think of they use, or I have percussion here, but there's also percutaneous, which means through the skin. Let's see. Peri, around. Any female that's given birth will remember possibly a peri bottle, and that was used to clean around the area. So that's how I remember peri. Polio means gray. Poly, many. So this one's just like multi. Poly and multi would be a good one because they're both many. Post, after, kind of think whenever you are doing something afterwards, like there's a post party. Pre, before, in front. Premi, first. Don't say prima, primo, it's premi with an I. Pseudo, false. Pro, in front or before, like a prognosis. Purpur, purple. Quadri, for, re is back or again. Retro, backward or behind. Ruby, like rubella, that is red. Ruby red. Semi, half. So remember, there's a semi and a hemi. They both mean half. Certain times you'll use one, certain times you'll use the other. Remember, I'm not really asking you to put words together, so don't worry about when to use which one. Just know how to break it down, that you know that semi and hemi both mean half. Sub, like a submarine, under, below. Supra, upon, above, or over. Sim, joined together. Sin is also joined together. Tacky, there we go, is our rapid. Tetra, for, trans, across. Think of like a transcontinental flight. It flies across the country. Goes from one side to the other. Tri, 3. Ultra, beyond or excess. Uni, 1. And Xantho is yellow. That is all I have on my list for this week. If you have any questions, please let me know. I hope this helped. Thank you.